Zurich Film Festival. Conversations that celebrate cinema. 'Cause life is better with movies.
Good morning and welcome to the 21st Zurich Film Festival, to the ZFF Masters with one of the most exciting directors of contemporary auteur cinema. It's the third time he's here in Zurich, a city he knows quite well because his mother is from here. He came here with All Quiet on the Western Front, which he presented as a European premiere. The film went on to win 4 Academy Awards. He came back last year together with Ray Fiennes to present CONCLAVE. And this year he is here with an exciting new film called Ballad of a Small Player, starring Colin Farrell, which got our Golden Icon Award. Please welcome Edward Berger. Hi, Edward. Good to have you back. Thank you for coming to Zurich.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Sunday morning.
You once said very beautifully that you don't find the films, but that the films find you. How did Ballad of a Small Player find you?
Well, it started a long time ago, about 8 years ago, when Mike Goodrich, my producer and friend, called me. He had seen a television series I'd done. And we had breakfast in London. He said, he was running the Macau Film Festival, and he gave me this book that takes place in Macau, and I read it, and I thought it would be very interesting movie. However, you never know, 8 years ago, you never knew when these movies are going to be done, what the next one is, when the right actor jumps on board, when the script's finished, and when the money comes together. So those are many factors. And somehow it's a confluence of circumstances and the time that suddenly the film feels relevant, and it feels like, oh, we got to do it now, because otherwise,
Why does it feel relevant today? Because the character is a gambler who is in debt and kind of running away from himself, right?
Yeah, I like films that have that ideally, resonate with people 40 years ago and in 20 years. Ideally, you never know, but so it doesn't have to be like super top. I don't really respond to topical movies that much that feel like they're taken from the headlines. But what feels relevant, why I felt it's the right time for me for this movie, because it's a man, Lord Doyle is a man who's on the run from himself and basically tries to, in a world full of an abundance of everything, of light, of money, of greed, of music, everything is too much. And in our world, I feel, the world's falling apart at the seams everywhere. And it's in a way, I wanted to make a fable about the end of democracy or the end of capitalism. And it's a time where it could theoretically, everything falls apart at the seams. And at the altar of luxury, of everyone, free markets, and everyone has everything, we've sacrificed higher, like a deeper meaning, a purpose of life. And, we all are in our little, like after COVID, especially, that was like a Brandbeschleuniger in a way. Like we're all individuals now. It's like, and we're all isolated from each other. So we've sacrificed things like on the altar of, having Gucci and all these things. We've sacrificed faith and community, and that's what Lord Doyle is going through. And in the end, he finds back to some sort of peace, or he finds a deeper meaning. He finds a purpose in life, and that's what I felt at the time. Also, I mean, it's like I also say, like, a film has to be personal. I was very lucky with All Quiet and CONCLAVE. And suddenly there's possibilities that feel like an abundance. It's like almost like Colin sits at the table and has in a scene in the movie, if you've seen it, he has steak and lobster and cake and champagne, and he wants to eat everything. And that's what a little bit I was going through at the time, and you have to find a center or a piece in the middle of that, you know.
I like the film a lot because it's almost an experience, a lyrical film, and I rooted for Colin's character. And when you say it's capitalism is falling apart, I mean, that scene where he wakes up in this big suite and with the empty bottles of champagne, for a little while I dreamt of being in such a suite and waking up with empty bottles as well. But then you go on the journey with him and you see how empty he is. But the quality of this film is that as a spectator, you really root for the guy.
Well, that's Colin, you know. We really needed an actor that is takes you on a journey. I mean, look at the Penguin. The guy has a pound of makeup in his face. You know, theoretically, you don't see anything, any bit of skin that he belongs to him, and yet you love this character and he's evil, and you go on this journey with him, and you like him because you like Colin is a gentle soul as a person, and he is so kind to share that gentleness with us, and so generous to give that to his fellow actors and to the crew member and to the camera. And, you know, the audience I love him. I love watching him. And so for this character...
Did you know him before?
Well, just a little bit. Well, we met once in LA. I sent it to him because I thought I needed exactly someone like that. I also like that he's Irish and playing an English pseudo-aristocrat. I thought that was a funny twist. And then we just had lunch once, and then we met in a sauna in a sauna by accident on the campaign trail he did Banshees, I did All Quiet, and we were in the same hotel in London, and
nice.
So and then you talk and slowly you think like you circle in and you go like, well, this might be a movie that might come together.
How important was his own biography? He had some turmoil in his life as well, and now he's very tender. Yesterday he was so gentle and generous with fans and everything.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's very open about it. You know, it's also well documented what his life looked like at some point. And, you know, you can imagine, you know, he's a 20-year-old kid coming from Ireland and suddenly propelled into, he was the next big hot thing in LA. And I have such admiration for his also artistic instincts of sort of reinventing his career with, you know, the films like Yorgos's films and things like that, The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer. And so he really, and he's now back at, I think, in a happy place where he can really, you know, make the movies that he responds to. But I don't think, whatever your history is, we all have it. You know, whatever Colin has inside, I mean, he has it probably 1,000 times to you and I, but you have some sort of, you know, addictive disorder. You know, let it be work, movies,
yeah.
obsessions. You know, like getting up and I have to do this. Like we feel it every morning. I have it. You know, I don't have a. But anyway, all of us have something of that, and if you're a good actor, which Collins certainly is, you access that and make that. So I don't think you have to be an addict to portray an addict.
He got our Golden Icon Award, which is the highest recognition this festival has to give to an actor, and you gently agreed to do a laudatory speech, which was really beautiful, and you concluded by saying that Colin helped you become a better person. How do you mean that?
Well, I mean, when you meet wonderful people, you learn from them, right? You learn from them, and you ideally try to take the positive aspects and the impact that they have on the world and say, oh, that's beautiful what he does. Maybe I can be a little bit more, I can learn from that. I can learn. And what Colin does is he's first super kind, super generous. And I don't mean by generous like, inviting everyone to dinner. I mean like emotionally generous. I mean, he greets everyone. He makes everyone feel welcome. He includes everyone. Let it be, when you're an actor and, you come in for a day, number 47 on the call sheet, it can be very taxing suddenly to stand across from Colin Farrell and have to perform. He's someone who makes you feel right at ease. He wants to invite everyone in. He sees, the seventh person in the camera department, sees how hard they work. And the great thing is he gives so much in his performance. He's emotionally generous. He puts everything into it. And he's very good. And everyone in the crew sees that, and I see it. Mm-hmm. And that's inspiring. That's inspiring to say, I want to do my best work. I want to be the best person I can be. I want to be kind to others. I want to make them feel good so that they can thrive and do their best work and go home and feel great about the day. And I think that's Colin, what he does.
In my mind, it has also a lot to do with you, because you turn out best performances in actors, whether it was Ralph Fiennes in Conclave. It really was one of his finest of his career. And here, Colin gives one of the finest performances of his already long and rich career. How do you prepare with the actors before shooting? And how do you get their trust? Because watching the movie, you understand that he trusted you. He couldn't have turned out this performance with someone he didn't like or feel comfortable to, because there's so much intimacy and fragility.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's thank you. Well, I think that's the main thing. It's trust. There's so many bad movies in the world, and no one sets out to make a bad movie. Everyone wants to make a great movie, but they're difficult to make, and they're difficult to, that everything comes together and feels of one piece, and so I imagine, I'm not an actor, but I imagine when you're an actor and coming on set and you don't know anyone, they're all strangers, the director is a stranger, you're guarded. You guard yourself. You say like, okay, let's be sure that if this is terrible, I don't want to make sure I'm not giving too much. And so it's building a relationship of trust, and and he has to trust me, and I have to trust him. I can give you an example. So I play the movie, I act the movie for 8 years while I write it while I develop it, and I say the lines in my sleep. And when I basically direct the development of the writing, when we sit there in a room and say, oh, this scene should be like this, I know how to act it. I know where he should walk and what he does and so forth. I have to imagine the movie in my head. And so I come with and I plan the film meticulously with camera shots and everything. And with another thing I learned with Colin, I learned it every little bit with Rafe and with Felix on All Quiet, is to let go of that so-called vision. I have yes, you need a vision, but I think I have to go back a little bit more. Sorry, it's a long story. But I made a television movie about 20 years ago in Germany, where the actor came to set and said, you have to help me. I just did a comedy. In this movie, my kid just died, so it's a tragedy. So you have to help me, not be too funny or not be in this movie. I said, no problem, I've got your back. So I told him everything. I told him, oh, too much, less, not so much smiling. Oh. And he was also sometimes like, really? Are you sure? Okay, I'll do it. And so I did. I told him down to and I watched the movie. It was boring. I killed it. I killed the performance. I took a soul and crushed it and made it lifeless. And so that was a really great experience, because now when Colin comes, and I've acted my movie for 8 years in my head, so Colin is there, and he does the first take, and it's fucking different from what I would have done. And I panic inside. I go, oh my God, He does it differently. Why does he do it like this? And I said, let's do another one. And then he does it again. And it's different again because he doesn't know. He's searching. We're both searching. It's this process of searching. And I say, like, Colin, what do you think? Like, should we do a little more? He said, yeah, sure, let's try. He does a little more. And I said, let's do a little less. And so we learn the role together. And slowly I realize, oh my God, Colin plays it much more human. Maybe because he has, I'm more guarded than him. He's such an open heart, such a vulnerability. And he puts that into all his roles. I would be much more closed and performative. And so I watch him and I realize, if I have the choice now for 1,000 shots for 50 days to tell him, no, less. No, don't do that. And bit by bit, crush him, and make another movie like I did 15 years ago and take the soul of the performer away. Or I have the choice to embrace it and take his strength and look at that and go, wow, that's how he does it. And it's not only me. It's also Tilda Swinton, for example. I think she came in her head and wanted to play it differently. She comes first day on set and goes, oh my God, I remember her saying, oh my God, you're so vulnerable. She didn't think that he would be that way. And then suddenly I noticed how she turns it on and switches her performance because she takes it from him. So I think it's such a collaboration and such a embracing the strength of every human being that is on set. And that's not only Colin, it's also the cameraman, it's also the production designer, it's everyone. One last thing about that. Sorry, Christian. Is it too long? You cut me off. You say, shut up. The next question. So, for example, I did on CONCLAVE. I like shots to be symmetrical, to be composed. And you see it in Ballad. You see it a lot in All Quiet. You also see it in CONCLAVE. And I told I would put the camera right in the middle here and shoot this and then turn around and put it right in the middle and shoot us and really be perfectly composed. I had a cameraman who does a lot of, on CONCLAVE, who does a lot of Jacques Audiard's films, Stéphane Fontaine, wonderful human being, really poetic, very fragile, quiet, timid person, would never say anything. And I told him, okay, we do this shot, it's the Cardinals, 80 Cardinals. Let's put the camera right here and shoot the crowd. And they're all staring at him. And he goes, okay, yeah, good, I'll do it. And then he puts the camera right there. And I can walk away, go talk to Rafe or something, do something. And then I come back and the camera's not there. It's there. Yeah. And I go like, Stefan, what the hell are you doing? I mean, I told you it should be there. Yeah, it didn't look as good. And I said, okay, but I want to see it. And he puts the camera back, and he's right. It didn't look as good. So I said, all right, put it where you put it. And then, so we put it there. But with James' friend, the guy who shot Ballad, and I guarantee you 100% the camera would have been here. Just because it's our language and we feel that. And Stefan didn't feel that, and he couldn't make that work. And so embrace the strength of the people you're working with, I think.
Were you ever in a position or in a situation where you had to part ways, fire someone because you didn't share the same vision?
Yeah, it happens all the time. And this is not...
How difficult is it to fire someone? I mean,
it's very difficult because you don't want to, and I don't like doing it because I just always think it's my fault. The thing is, it's not. I learned that it's nobody's fault. It's just the culture of the movie. We have different. The culture of the movie needs a different language, and that person who doesn't fit into that language just doesn't feel it and just can't do it. I've done it with line producers, which I think is a creative job that felt like they didn't know how to implement what we wanted. They had to go. Or we agreed that it's not the right movie to work together. I've had it with production designers or where you feel like we don't find a common... Composers is a very big thing, or editors is also a difficult. You don't know until you work together, and then you realize actually we're not a good fit.
Colin is definitely a perfect fit, but there is another protagonist in this movie, Macau itself. Tell us about how your experience in this crazy city was.
It is crazy. It is Las Vegas times 10. It's a little bit like Blade Runner, in real life. Everything's too much, too colorful, too operatic, too poppy, and but wonderful contrast too, because it has the old Macau that is full of the colonial Portuguese influences in architecture, and so we try to capture those, the spiritual element, because it is a spiritual movie. It's a movie about a spiritual awakening, about a man who finds deeper meaning suddenly in a world of emptiness, so that, it just needed to find Macau needed to be the backdrop for this very fragile character, and we tried to, make Macau influence the tone of the movie in terms of that it became. I always call it a pop opera. I wanted to make a pop opera that is just fun and explosive, partly also because the story is dark. I don't really think I want to tell a dark story, like a dark, addictive tale, and make the movie dark as well. Then I think it's kind of like dry bread that you have to eat.
It's amazing how you can change styles from film to film. You did All Quiet, big epic war movie, then you did this austere Vatican thriller, and here it's almost like a Sorrentino fireworks. You're like Ang Lee. You can do any genre, any tonality, and turn out the best from actors.
Well, that's Ang Lee is my hero. I used to work for him, so that's a wonderful compliment. Thank you so much. Don't know if it's deserving, but I just talked to my daughter on the phone, and she told me that she was at a concert. She preferred to go to Vienna rather than come to the premiere last night to see a concert of a singer called Little Sims. Little Sims? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she said she said a really fun thing. She said, it was so great, the concert. This is a woman, she's just great. She has so much fun doing music, and she wants to explore it all. She does soul, she does rap, she does rock, punk, all in one. And I have to listen to her now. So I think that's. If I can make movies where we can explore everything and explore the limits of the medium, and say, let's make something explosive that falls off the screen, and let's make something really concentrated and minimalist. I wanted to make a maximalist movie. In life, I'm probably much more of a minimalist. But I think, like, in this movie, more is more. And so,
tell us about the spiritual level of the movie. I'm not familiar with Buddhism, but I studied Italian literature. Mm-hmm. And of course, you think of Dante and the Abstieg ad Inferos. I don't know how to say in English. Mm-hmm. You go to hell, one layer of the other, deeper into hell. Was this a reference, a literature reference for you?
Well, we definitely said, apropos Italy, we definitely said when, there's a shot when we always try, James and I always try to put the camera so that it reflects what the main character is feeling inside, so that we can make you feel that. And there's this shot where Colin descends on an escalator into a casino, and we put the camera on the side and we turn it, and there's crazy lights twinkling around him. And that was always our Dante Inferno shot, where he's descending into hell of the addiction and the draw of the cards and the money but the Buddhist influence, it's really interesting because when we go there to speak to our Chinese colleagues, ghosts are real in China. They're not, we think, I don't really I'm not sure about you, but maybe
I don't believe in ghosts, but
no, I don't either. Yeah, but I mean, I do. But we do believe, I do believe that my granny is buried in Kilchberg, around the corner. She's here somewhere, right? And my father as well. They're here, but we don't. I think in China they really sit there, and so that is really a step. And I noticed when you make films, you really have to believe in these things. Otherwise, if you don't believe it, the audience feels that you're doubting, that you don't believe, and so you really have to embrace that part of the culture and say, all right, Dao Ming, this ghost story, she's real. And she really has an influence. And that sometimes takes a little brain fuck in our heads to understand and embrace. But I think as a filmmaker, I very much believe we have to embrace it. We have to believe as well to be able to shoot it and portray it and hand it to the audience.
Well, Ballad of a Small Player, again, congratulations. It's such a spectacular movie on so many levels. But let's talk now about Edward Berger. Who are you? You were born in 1970 in Wolfsburg.
Mm-hmm.
How come and how did you become a filmmaker?
I have no idea. I think I'm the third. I think I'm the third brother, third son. And I come from Wolfsburg is a car factory town. So they make Volkswagens there, and so. Movies don't exist, and especially in the 70s or 80s, that was not a profession that existed in the world. Maybe in America, but not in Germany. Certainly not in Wolfsburg. I always thought, and I remember going to the next biggest town with my parents and watching things like Charlie Chaplin, and those were the type of films I was exposed first, like Gold Rush. I remember seeing in the cinema. So those were really and I remember taking the bus then as soon as I was 12 to go to that town. It's about half an hour away or 45 minutes on bus. And there was one art house cinema that had changing program, and I watched those movies a lot. I went there a lot, but it still wasn't a profession I thought I could take. We had a theater in Wolfsburg that I did an internship at, and I wrote plays when I was a kid, when I was 15. Wrote a first play that was terrible, probably, and I remember when I turned, and I always thought actors made the movies. I didn't think filmmaking was a profession. And I remember when I turned 18, my parents, in this case, I think it was my father who sat me down, or not sat me down, but said so you're going to have to apply for university. I said, yeah, I'll do it. What do you want to apply for? Well, engineering, like you and my two older brothers. And he said, really? And I was almost offended, thinking that he thought I wasn't smart enough or something, or that he didn't trust me that I could do it. And I said, why can't I do it? And he said, well, because you can. I mean, you should if you really want to. But if you want to, I thought you're interested in other things, in theater and writings. And that got me thinking. Mm-hmm. That opened up the possibility of, maybe it is. Maybe I can do something else. And then that's one thing led to another.
And then you went to New York to study film?
Yeah. Yeah, and I worked at a company called Good Machine, eventually, that produced the movies of Ang Lee and Todd Haynes, and all the heroes.
You actually met the two of them?
Yes, of course. Yeah, and Kelly Reichardt and all these wonderful directors that also now play at the Zurich Film Festival. Yeah, and hopefully the next Ang Lee film soon.
Todd Haynes was actually the predecessor for your tribute to award. So
yes, there you go.
You were the next one. So. Yeah, and then you went back to Germany and did German films. But as a cinephile, if I watch your movies, strangely you feel like fish out of water in the German films, and the day you started doing the big English language films, you open up and become this exciting director. Why? What was the challenge with the German films?
I was 27, I think, when I made my first film back in Germany, because I was actually, I had enough of, the New York indie film that was so interesting when I was there was dying. It was sort of, it was, or it not maybe not dying, but it exploded into the mainstream. But Good Machine became focus features and made bigger films and so forth that, of course, weren't accessible to me yet. And the indie film model was also a model of pipe dreams. Out of 1,000 films, 2 were successful, and the rest had debts forever in their life. And Berlin was exciting at the time. The wall had fallen, and the times were changing, and everything seemed to happen in Berlin. So I went back for a summer, and I wrote a script that took place in Berlin, and I got it financed. So I made it there, and I realized, and it was an exciting time. And the first film was very well received and did really well, and I had the opportunity to make a really much bigger second film. And
which was the first one, and which the second?
The first one was called Gomez, Heads or Tails. It also played at the Solothurn Film Festival. I think the second one as well. And the second one was called Frau 2 sucht Happy End. Very difficult title. And I did the same thing. I did everything like I should, and I made the film, and I realized it was just mediocre. It was just not very good. It was okay, but it wasn't groundbreaking.
Why was that? What?
I didn't know, because I thought, what did I do wrong? I thought I did everything right, and I liked the film in the beginning, but it just didn't cross over to the audience. It just didn't connect to the audience. And so it took me 10 years of thinking and making, and the German, just to get back to the question, the German industry is difficult. It's conservative. It doesn't nourish talent. It doesn't support failure, and it's fine to fail. Every filmmaker is going to fail. I'm going to fail, every time. But then, the second film isn't as good. Let's find the new one. Yeah, and it's always easy to make the first film in Germany. The second one and third one is very difficult. And so it took me 10 years to understand why that second film just wasn't great. I didn't have anything to say. I was too young. There was nothing left. I had put everything into the first film. As I said, the first film's kind of easy. The second film is difficult, especially when you're 30 or 29. And you just have no life experience whatsoever.
But you did the third one, or was it the fourth, called Jack, which is really very strong and convincing, and you worked with kids.
Yeah.
It's about siblings growing up with a single mother who is absent. And you did it together with your wife or partner at the time.
Yeah.
Tell us about this film.
I call that Jack, my sort of going back to the roots. So I realized, like Germany was very much driven by television. I did television movies, and I always thought, like, I'm going to put everything into those movies and put my heart into the film, until I realized, it's just on television for one night and then it disappears. And it's basically just like throwaway wear, it's just like you do it and then next night something else is on. And so I realized I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. So Nele and I sat down and basically wrote a new movie, Jack, that I felt I want to go back to the roots, to the Good Machine roots, where I have something to say with the movie, where it comes from inside. Mm-hmm. And it's not just, and by now, I had kids, I had failures, I had successes, I had more life experience. So I had something to, my body was full again to be emptied out in movies. And so everything went into Jack, and that was sort of, and we made it for no money, but a lot of freedom, a lot of independence with a lot of friends. And it was sort of the beginning of what I call now, but actually my beginning. I forget the beginning. And this was 2014. And I love that beginning so much, and I cherish it so
Film
much.
was invited into competition in Berlin. How was it received? Berlin can be dangerous for German films.
I think it was well received, but not extraordinarily received by the German audience. But I think it took the audience about half a year or a year, or the critics, to really embrace the film. It was when it came out, they were like, "Oh, what's this? You know, is this too small? Is this too what?" And then a year later, suddenly it was really, I think it was really warmly embraced and received and celebrated. And especially, I would say, Neil and I had a scholarship in Los Angeles for Villa Aurora. And what I loved is that, this is, they always say Hollywood is such a, they make commercial movies, it's the death of creativity. That's utter bullshit. It is actually the birth of creativity. It is the place where I felt everyone had seen Jack. Everyone. And in Germany, actually, like in the because it's so ruled by television, people just thought, oh, we can't put this on television, let's not watch it. They were not interested in it. And so, and in America actually helped
and also
make Jack big.
In the US, or in LA specifically, cinema is the art form, while in
people love
Germany,
movies.
Often cinema, the seventh art is sitting at the children's table.
Yeah.
And opera, theater are the big arts, and you feel like
people love movies in America. They watch any movie, be it from Singapore or Romania, or it doesn't matter where it's from. They want to discover the next film.
But Edward, now that you're this big brand director, you had the Oscar race twice, you're All Quiet as won 4 Oscars, you're wrapped by Brown Loud, the CAA big shot. Why don't you live in LA?
Because I don't have to. I mean, there's no reason to. I'm first of all, I'm very European. I really like Europe. I think I could live in London very much. I love London. And London is, and nothing, if I live in LA and I have my family move there and everything, I'm going to be shooting suddenly in Hungary. And then they are in LA, and what are they going to do there? So I don't know. I might, if I shoot there, I will live there for a couple of years and make a movie there and live there. But right now, there's no reason to,
How can you have a family, travel so much, shoot here, there, and still stay connected?
It's challenging.
I'm a festival director, and I constantly have a bad conscience because I have to travel so much. But you are for a month in Macau and then edit in London. I guess your family is in Berlin. How do you organize family life?
Yeah, it's challenging. I mean, you have to sort of just overcome that.
But you have to support, and they are proud of what you do.
Well, proud is too much a word. I think they do their thing.
Let's look ahead. You have exciting projects coming up. You're preparing a Bourne film. Tell us about it. You turned down an Oceans film. Is that true?
Well, the Oceans. I was shooting this film in Macau when I got a call from basically Brad Pitt and George Clooney are producing, or George Clooney is really producing the ocean movies with his partner, Grant Heslov. And they sent me the script for the next Oceans film, which James Vanderbilt wrote, who made Nuremberg, who you met probably here a couple of days ago, right? Was he here, James?
He was here, the other day.
So he wrote an excellent script for the next Oceans movie. I can't wait to see it. And I read it and I was like, oh my God, this is such a, this is so tempting. Of course, I'm from bloody Wolfsburg, and suddenly I get a script written by James Vanderbilt of movies that I love, ocean, and with George Clooney, Julia Roberts, Matt Damon, Brad Pitt, all these people, and of course it's flattering and tempting. At the same time, I was shooting this movie. It was a very hard movie to make because, the the place is challenging to get it. The money is never enough. You always struggle, and the crew works themselves to death. And I kind of thought, like, you know what? Maybe we should just make a movie that everyone really needs and wants. That the stars want to do, that the studio needs and has fun doing, and that the audience wants and embraces. And I can pay the crew properly. We can all have fun and really enjoy this. And then I finished shooting Ballad, slept for 8 hours, and I woke up and realized, why am I doing it? It's not my. It's like it would be a little bit like luckily I made the mistake with the second movie that I told you about, Frau Zwei. Back then, I made it because I could, not because I needed to. Yeah, I had the opportunity to make a second movie with a lot more money, and I did it because I was young and an idiot. And I thought, I can't do that again. I made that mistake 20 years ago. Why would I make that? It's not my movie. It's Steven Soderbergh's. It comes from him. I want to see his version of it. I have nothing to add to that. And it doesn't come from inside. But the great thing is, so at the same time, it was basically I had conversations with Brad Pitt. And I thought, I can't tell him no. I can't turn him down. How do I turn him down? And like I was shy about it. Because I love him, and I want to work with him. And then I realized, oh my God, I have this script that is in my drawer that I've developed with a wonderful friend, Dave Kijanic, who wrote a lot of movies for Luca Guadagnino, and is a great. And I've done a series called The Terror with him, and it's sitting there ready to go. And I've been wanting to do it, but without somebody like Leo DiCaprio or Brad Pitt, you can't finance the film. So I need one of them, one of those two. And I said, well, I'm on the phone with Brad Pitt. Why don't I tell him I don't want to do Oceans? I'm so sorry. And he said, no problem. It doesn't matter. But I have this other movie that I would love to send to you. And I thought, that I really wanted to do. And he read it in 2 days and said, great, I love this. Let's do that one.
And when do you shoot? Next year?
In February.
Okay, fingers crossed for that one. Think of the Zurich Film Festival.
I will.
The Golden Icon Award would be a very nice companion for Brad Pitt as well.
I'm sure he would love it.
Let's talk about award season. I truly hope that Ballad has a shot. I mean, Colin should get nominated. Is it fun for you to campaign for your own film?
Well, it's an honor. It's an honor because the audience. How do I put it? It's a privilege. I would say it's a privilege. It's work. It's not just fun, but it's a privilege that you have to embrace when life chooses you. Yeah, I mean, it would be silly to say, no, I'm not interested in this. Of course it's an honor, and the Oscar is a big thing, or the BAFTA is a big thing, and it's always an honor, but life or the audience chooses it, and, there's the press and everyone tries to make this big thing out of it, but in the end, it's the audience that decides, I like that movie. Then that one should have a shot at something.
It's work, but it's also a reward. I mean, these are the peers. They come, they watch your movies, they make you compliment. Doesn't this elevate your spirit?
Very much. I mean, the most wonderful, actually, probably the nicest award or the nicest surprise was, the directing BAFTA. Because it's sort of, I mean, it's such an honor, and just the directing thing, because I consider myself that, and to be seen by others, that the guy did a good job on that film, that's a huge honor.
For me, the difference is, and I'm often in LA in December when all these For Your Consideration screenings take place, and the difference to Europe and Switzerland is similar to Germany. Here you have the night. People, they watch your film and then they talk badly about it. And there I really feel they appreciate good craft and are are very positive. So the optimism of these Californian people. How do you stay grounded when everybody congratulates you and you still have to make the next film and work very hard again?
Well, you have the good thing is have a good people around you that always tell you the truth. Have a crew around you that always you can talk honestly, and they tell you like, oh, this isn't so good, maybe we should change it up, and so that's very important. I mean, what I really love, I love you said it. I love the positive American spirit. It is anything is possible. We can do anything. And that positive, we have a lot to learn from that. You know, the fires, you mentioned it yesterday.
They are so resilient, yeah.
I mean, the city burst down, and then I'm on the phone with someone whose house burned down, and I said, well, I just built it up again. You know, I mean, we would be crushed for years, right? And complain about the government and all these. They just build it again. They go again. And that's something we have a lot to learn from. But also I learned from, you know, I had 2 movies, All Quiet and Conclave, you know, leading up to the Oscars. You're there like a couple of weeks before and everyone goes, I voted for you. Yours is the best movie. It's fantastic. You're going to win, you know. And then you're there like, oh, great, maybe I'm going to win, you know. And you like build it up until you realize, you know, that's a positive way of building each other up. They say that to Banshees as well.
Yeah.
And they say that to the other movie. They say to Colin, they say to everybody. But that's, I embrace it, you know, like, I mean, it's great. It's building each other up, you know, patting each other on the back and making sure you have the confidence to make the next one.
You mentioned that you need important people around you which you trust. You have your family here. They saw the film here in Zurich. How was the reaction? Were you nervous knowing that your mother is in the theater?
I was so nervous, and they are so ignorant. They don't know this. So we had dinner last night, you and I, with our friends from Netflix and Colin. And so and we know exactly when the movie finishes, right? We say like, okay, whatever it was, 11:35 or something. We look at the watch. The movie's done. I still don't have a message. 7 minutes later, I still don't have a message. What the hell is going on? They don't call after, and then they finally called and said like, and then I was very, very happy that because their approval basically means everything. And if they like the film, I think we did something okay. Hopefully.
We're at the Zurich Film Festival, and somehow you're a son of Zurich too. What is exactly your relation to this city?
Well, first of all, my mother was born here. My parents spent a good amount of time here when they were like meeting each other. And my father is from Austria. My mother is from Zurich, and so it's a. You know, at least Zurich is a little bit of the beginning of a love story, right? And my grandmother lived here and always went to swim in the Zurich Lake every morning. And we spent a lot of time visiting her and spending time with her here. My mom always speaks Swiss with us. I'm always afraid I can do it in front of her and in front of Germans who think like, oh, this guy's from Switzerland. I'm afraid to do it in Switzerland because my sister's much better at this. Because then the Swiss think like, what's this German trying to speak Swiss? But I really do feel whenever I come here, I feel like something opens. Something opens.
You know, the fun thing is, it's the 3rd time you're here now, and in Zurich, people are really fond of Edward Berger because in the meantime, everybody knows you're Swiss. Unfortunately, it's like with Godard. He was Swiss, but everybody thought he's French. Edward Berger, we know you're Swiss, but everybody thinks you're German. But there is a Roger Federation of Edward Berger going on that people are fond of. He's one of us.
Well, wonderful. I always make a point of saying, by now I identify with Switzerland a lot more than with being German. I don't know. It's like I make a point of saying I'm from Switzerland.
Okay. Well, we love to hear it, and it's beautiful. We could have shown your film. It was the first one to sell out, and it's the film we sold most tickets for.
Wonderful.
So it's highly anticipated. Thank you so much for being
Thank you,
here
Christian.
and for this talk.
Thank you
Edward
so
Berger,
much.
ladies and gentlemen.